What's going on, guys? Gibbs is back for another episode of DFH Locker Room number 5. I am here with Mr. Jamesbot. James? James, where are you? Oh, yeah, he's already left for RLCS. Look at him, so fancy. So we're doing a solo show. I got Twitch chat with me. I'm going to be taking some questions from them as we do the show. It's going to be a shorter show this week because I have to pack and get ready to go to RLCS. So let's start with that. First subject is the RLCS caster team. I have to bring it up, actually, because I don't even know every single person in it. I should have looked at that. Okay, so here we go. The RLCS caster team that will be in studio on Saturday and Sunday for each week. I'm not sure if it'll be the same people for each weekend, but for the first weekend, we have Golden Boy as the host. He's going to host the analyst desk. He's going to host pretty much everything. Show us the ropes. Show us how it's going. We got Mr. Jamesbot. We got Lawler. We got Findable Carpet. We got Wave Punk. We got LiFX. All of those guys will be casters and analysts. And then, of course, you got me, who's going to be an analyst. I might cast a bit. We'll see how it goes. I would be color, probably with James if I do any. So that should be a lot of fun. I can't wait to go onto the analyst desk and just, spew knowledge. And that's why I've been going on Twitter lately and looking for some extra knowledge from players, asking about their strengths and weaknesses for each team, what they perceive it compared to what I perceive. And I'm going to, mix and match it into the show. So that's the team, guys. We'll be there Saturday and Sunday. I'm flying out tomorrow night. This is recording on Wednesday, so that'll be Thursday. And, yeah, super excited. It's going to be a good time. That is for sure. Let me go back. And so we're going to be taking questions from Twitch chat in between the show, but I'll repeat the question because this will also go into podcast form, which is on the SoundCloud, which I don't have the link for right now for you Twitch chat listeners, but I'll get it in a little bit. But all of them are posted there. I haven't put them on any podcast yet because it's like super complicated, and I just haven't got around to do it. It's been hectic between PAX and now going out to California, so it's been a little hectic. Just bear with me. I'll try and get it done as soon as possible. So one question comes in from Decently Decent. I have a question. Is there an advantage of using a controller? I use mouse keyboard. There's a slight advantage to controller. Basically, like the way I see it is for aerials and when you're steering on the ground. With an analog stick, you have, say you have 100 points between 0 and 1 to turn left. So you can adjust your turn in 100 different ways. On PC, you just hit A and you turn left. So you have either 0 or 1. So your turn-in's not as nice, I guess. Like you can't do those small little adjustments, but most PC players know how to turn with a mouse keyboard anyway and can adjust by just like letting go of it when they can. You just can't get those super fine ones. And now my dryer's going off. I don't know if you can hear that. So control is slightly better. It's not a big deal though. Like Geno Cop uses PC mouse keyboard, so like if you're more comfortable with that, just go with the mouse keyboard. So I'm actually a little bit sick. Like I wouldn't say I'm sick, but my voice is like a little deeper, and actually I think it sounds pretty awesome. So I'm hoping this stays for the analyst desk because this is like the perfect pitch that I want for the analyst desk. So am I going to be playing on a regular basis competitively again? Probably not. I'm going to try out this caster stuff, see how that goes, like analyst desk work. And then I'm going to be doing a lot of like replay analysis or coaching. Like I just don't have time for playing. Plus, personally, I don't think I'm that good compared to some of the other players. Like they do play more than me, but mechanically, I don't think I can reach the levels that they are at. And, that's just something like I feel like at some point I will hit a plateau while everyone else can still climb a little bit higher, like or faster even. And like I could probably play on a mediocre like North America team and like fight for that 4th spot, but it's not in me right now. All right, so next topic is Shalthis, actually. Like I want to bring this up in case you guys missed it. He had a brainstem stroke 3 weeks ago, I think now. His wife, Amy, needs our help. GoFundMe.com, Get Well Shalthis, or /GetWellShalthis. So if you haven't seen this, and you liked any of Shalthis's work, or if you were entertained by him, throw a few bucks to him. Like if you can, it would be a huge help. Right now, he's in a rough spot, And he could definitely use all our help. And the community's been awesome. And one day we hit like $13,000, and they were asking for 10. But like obviously there's a lot more to it because they went on vacation to Arizona. They're from I think Maryland, if I'm not mistaken, or Rhode Island. It's one of the two. And he had it out there, so he hasn't been moved back yet. So his wife's got to stay out there, and there's just a lot of financial hurdles, especially like if you're from Europe, like North America, like hospital bills are no fun. But he's in a rough spot, guys. So if you can throw any help his way, that would be awesome. And if you can't, just spread the word, and just give some positive vibes to our boy Shalthis. He's the man. And hopefully he can pull through and get better, and hopefully we can see him casting again, because I know that's what he wants to do. And, it just sucks. It really does. But let's go into more positive news before I get too emotional. I don't want to get a little choked up here. But we'll go on to some more positive stuff here. So let's go into the patch. The patch came out. We got Hoops. We got Cosmic. We got a new Retropia. Lots of big things in this. First, I'll start with Hoops. I really like Hoops. Some people don't like that it's a small arena. And I understand that, but at the same time, I feel like we need different stuff. Like, not everything has to be big so you can do bigger plays. Like, Hoops is kind of like a smaller atmosphere. You have to... you can't get your speed up as much for shots, and you have to do more pops, which kind of makes sense, because you want to be slow to do pops off the ground. But it changes it up a lot. And I actually like it a ton. The face-offs are really good with the tip-off face-offs. I think they might be a little bit too difficult for the average player. Maybe if they put a boost pad in front middle to help out the average player learn boost control like a little bit better, they would have like 12 more boosts to get up in the air. That might help for newcomers. Besides that, though, I love the mode. I actually have my top Reddit post now is me missing a Hoops shot and then grinding around the entire rim. So I got that going for me, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, Hoops is awesome. And that's not to take away from Cosmic, which is the thing I've been really looking forward to. And that could definitely be seen in the pro scene. I have actually a video coming out, I think probably like in a couple days. It's like a 15-minute long video of a game that ended 1-0. And I go through why I think Cosmic is... It's good, but at the same time, it's going to be a very defensive map, and people can be more aggressive on it, because you basically have like a half of a defender with that ramp right in front of the net. It's really hard to get a clean shot off on a fast break. Pro teams will be able to do it a little bit better, but that ramp is a big obstacle to scoring on Cosmic, and you're going to see a lot more low-scoring games there if the professional scene gets involved on Cosmic. Which I don't think is a bad thing, necessarily. Like, I think they should add Hoops, too. Why not? Then we have a high-scoring one, and we have a low-scoring one in Cosmic. I think it would be a lot of fun. Like, I know probably most people are like, what, Hoops and competitive? No. But, personally, I just want everything. Everything. Now, another thing is Retropia got changed. Also, Double Goal got changed. Double Goal was just like the corners. They kind of smoothed out and made them curved instead of diagonal, which helps a bit. Because that was always a little awkward. I was surprised that those corners were like that. I got hiccups or something. But, yeah, so I'm glad that's a change. It was a small change, but it was needed. But Retropia basically doubled its size. Like, the donut is a lot bigger. It's a lot wider. There's more room to play the ball like without it hitting walls really quickly, which I think is good. But at the same time, as I was saying earlier with Hoops, like how it's smaller, like, you can use smaller maps if needed. I just thought Retropia, since it's curved the whole time, it actually makes it a little bit like weirder, and it goes on the walls maybe a little too much. The corners got fixed around the goals, so now since it's wider, the goals actually sit flat, and then there's a little bit of flat wall on each side of the goal. And then the corner comes in. So instead of it rolling off the corner and going like right in, it has a little bit of breathing room, which helps on defense a bit. It's still a little rocky though, like the fountain textures and stuff. There's a little bit of like it's kind of slanted wrong. I don't know how else to say it. And plus the corner curves near the fountain are a little bit weird. They're not perfectly flat or perfectly curved, as you would say. So we'll see. That'll be fixed, but I figure, they're just throwing it in, trying new changes. But that's why the Rocket Labs maps, like, they don't have to be perfect right now. That's the point of them. Someone asked, decently decent asked, what do you think of a volleyball game mode? I think volleyball would be tough because new players would not be able to play it. Plus, I think they would have to change a lot of things with it to make it work. Like, I think it could be fun, but it could also be one of those you play once and then you're like, all right, that was fun, but it's not competitive enough, maybe. I would like to see it, but I would like to see everything, and settings can only work on so much, so. Havoc Vivid X, what two teams do you think will be in the finals for the RLCS? Right now, you would have to say Cosmic and Weenham Girls are the two ones, like the two best in their regions. Europe has a slightly stronger region, but lately NA's been playing pretty well, so it could be a double NA final. Like, I'll give it up to my boys Cosmic, you know, like a bias alert. We'll throw them in there. And you know what? I'm going to throw Flipside in. Like, Flipside's had their problems, but I think if they really try, I think they can pull it out. They have to work out the, like, Cooksier position and how they want him to position compared to what he wants to do. I feel like they have some issues there. And I think they're slowly working those out. So I'm going to say Flipside. Cosmic versus Flipside. The old international showdown match will take place again. And Cosmic's getting the sweep. No, I'm just joking. Who knows? It could be any team, really. Like, there's a lot of good teams now in both North America and Europe. So we'll see how it goes. All right, next topic. And I didn't do any timestamps, but whatever. Maybe there'll be no timestamps in this video, so I can just put it out. Sorry, guys. It might just have to be that way. Maybe someone in the comments can timestamp for me because I really don't have time. I'm so sorry. Okay, so we got PAX talk. So last weekend I went to PAX in Boston. We had tons of people there, and we met tons of people. Jamesbot was in my room. He didn't even sleep in the same bed with me, guys. I get there at 3 in the morning. He's sleeping on the floor. Look, the beds were a little narrow, not super narrow. We could have put up a pillow wall. Supposedly, James, he puts his elbows out when he sleeps, he says. I think, he was just nervous. He didn't want to sleep with the Gibbs yet. He was a little worried, that he couldn't get it up or something. No, I'm sure. But yeah, so he slept on the floor. I was very disappointed. Very disappointed. Then also Crow was there, Digital, Classics, Chad, Kyle, Seismic, Low5, Rizzo, Nox Phoenix, Valadesi, Luke from Psionics, Heather from Psionics, and I'm probably missing a couple people. Oh, Cinema was there. Prime Thunder was there. Bunch of people were at PAX. So that was awesome to meet everyone. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of PAX. For the actual PAX show, it was way too crowded. Like, literally every single game was just super crowded. Like, unless it was a game that no one was super interested in. But like, even the Indie Mega Booth, everything was way too crowded. Lines took forever. I actually didn't wind up playing too much. I played a little bit of Overwatch. Played a little bit of Doom, because that line kind of went quick. Played the new Elder Scrolls card game that's basically just Hearthstone, but there's two lanes. I don't know. That's not going to go well. Come on, guys. We all know Hearthstone's going to beat you. I don't know why you're trying. I think that's all I played. Might be a couple of small things here or there, but one thing that we didn't know was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Loot Crate had a tournament, a 1v1, and Friday we had no idea about it, like any of the pros. So I think some no-name guy won. I'm not sure who it was, but it was some guy. He posted on Reddit, and we're like, shit, like, we could have been there and won this. So Saturday we all go, and they open up signups too early. Like, it was supposed to be at 2, and so me and James get there at 2, and like Kyle, Crow, and Classics and all of them all signed up already, and we were like, what the hell? So me and James didn't get in at first. Then one guy had to leave after he won his first match. So me and James rock, paper, scissored for his spot, and I won that. So it wound up being me and Crow in the finals. Crow kind of just knocked out everyone. He knocked out Classics. He knocked out Chad, actually, who beat Digital. Sorry, Digital. You got wrecked, son. You got wrecked. He beat Kyle. So he basically beat everyone, and then he beat me in the finals. I didn't have anyone on my side except for Nox Phoenix, which was a close game, and one other guy. I'm not sure what his name was, but like they were close games, and I haven't been playing that much, so could be that too. But then Crow came in, just destroyed me in the finals, but we had a good time with it. So it was an all Cosmic final, which was a good time. The Loot Crate girls were great. There was like 2 of them that were helping organize the event. They were having fun, making fun of Digital. and just chatting it up with everyone. And also, Cyanix Heather showed up, so I was talking to her a lot. She's actually Dave's sister, and she was helping run PAX events for Rocket League while at the event. So it was a good time talking with her, talking shop. I got some insider info and new hats, But so it was a good time all in all. Sunday, the only one that made it into the 1v1, because it was so popular Saturday, they actually did a raffle for Sunday. The only one that made it in was, I think, Chad from our group, but then Prime Thunder also made it in, and then Prime Thunder, I think, just destroyed everyone. I wasn't there for it, but Prime Thunder obviously is going to beat pretty much anyone there, besides maybe Crow and Classics. He might have a tough time with, but so I'm glad Prime won. So he won, I think, some headsets or keyboards or something. I'm not sure. Crow won a headset. I'm not sure what they had for Sunday. So it was a good time. And then Saturday night was the PAX Rocket League tournament. It was a 2v2 tournament, 64 teams that filled up pretty quickly. So we had to get there early. And we all kind of split up. Crow went with Digital. Kyle went with Classics. I went with Jamesbot. Cinema was with Overzero, who I forgot to mention earlier. And Rizzo was with Chad. Low 5 didn't make it. He was at some other party. Seismic wasn't playing. I think I mentioned Seismic earlier. So we were doing that. Me and James lost to Cinema and Overzero in the quarterfinals, and the rest of them made it to the semis at least. And that's where they knocked each other out. Rizzo and Chad lost to Kyle and Classics, I think. Or they lost to Crow and Digital. Kyle and Classics beat Cinema and Overzero. And then Crow and Digital beat Kyle and Classics in a best of 3 in game 3. So at least it was exciting. The rest of the tournament was best of 1, so it was just kind of like what happens, happens. But everyone was having a good time. Got to meet NZXT Mason. I met him earlier in the day with James, and then got to play him actually in the bracket. We played them in the round of 16. He was not happy about it. But we had a good time beating him up. And everyone was just having a good time playing Rocket League in the PC Lounge for PAX, and it was just fun. Like all weekend in the PC Lounge, they had like Rocket League, Unreal Tournament 2004, Left 4 Dead, Duck Game, CSGO, League of Legends, and I think that's it. Maybe 1 or 2 more. But we saw a ton of people playing Rocket League. A lot of people love that game, and it was just great. Like everyone was having a good time playing it. It was funny kind of playing in the LAN environment because it was on the LAN build, which was exciting, but you would just get matched up like randomly in like a 4v4, and it's like, it was fun, but at the same time, obviously I think a lot of people were playing for the first time, so having fun doing some freestyles. Like I don't do freestyles, but just having some fun doing some weird stuff to them. All right. Next, questions from chat. Let's see. Okay, Abstract Logic. I think he has 2 questions. Here we go. Do you expect to see some low-level play during the RLCS qualifier stream, or in turn, a low-level team massacred by a high-level team? So the studio is going to start, I think, at the round of 128. I'm not sure if we're going to start immediately in the round of 128. I'm not positive, but there'll definitely be some games that are blowouts. I assume we'll stay in the winner's bracket for as long as possible. There'll be blowouts for sure, because there's not 128 good teams in Rocket League. There's maybe 25 per region. Europe, I might bump up a little bit more, but they're still nowhere close to like the top 4. If you look at like anywhere from like probably 16 to 25. Like sometimes a 16 team can take a game or so. So that's why like the best of 3 could be exciting, because some of these teams are not going to make it to where they're projected to go, because it's only best of 3. Like if you have 2 bad games in a row, you're down into the losers bracket, and then all hell breaks loose. So we'll talk about that more in a bit on this show, but I won't bring it up just yet. And then Abstract also says, like if it is lower level teams, do you think this will be less exciting for the new viewers of Rocket League? Not necessarily. Like, it'll be a little bit lower skilled, but I don't think it's going to be like noobs playing. Like, if you make the 128, you'll probably have some skill, depending on your bracket. But if you're in the winner's bracket, you'll have some skill at least. But that's why I think we're going to be careful about what we show. We might show more of like hey, like if we're starting this early, we'll show a Cosmic or Kings game just to like give you an update on the team and like those faces that everyone knows. So that would be where we might start. It might be blowouts, but at least you see how good some teams can be versus the lower level teams. And then when you start getting into those matchups of like 16 versus 17, sure, they're not as exciting, but they're still exciting because they're close games. As long as they're close games, they should be exciting. It's just hard to tell from all the no-name teams that we won't know about beforehand what those teams are. So we might start with like a Cosmic or a Kings or a Mock It or a Retrospect, something like that. But honestly, I have no idea where we're going to start. That's all going to be figured out at the studio. So we'll see. What do I think of the South America scene from Bat to Dudus? I said that terribly. I'm so sorry. We got some pretty good players down here. Some of them are in the top 100. So honestly, I don't know. Like I haven't seen enough games, or I would say probably any games from that level. Top 100, I don't know if that means a lot. It just depends. Like, if you always play in South American servers, then you're not going to play anyone from the East. But if you do play from the East, like, I expect some players to be in top 100. There's a lot of players in top 100 that are really bad at threes, at least in team threes. So that's not necessarily a projection of skill when it comes to, like, RLCS quality. But I bet there is some teams in there that could compete. But I just don't know them. And obviously, we can't do that yet because RLCS is starting small. Maybe it'll expand to other regions, and then we'll get to see that. I expect most of the good teams to come from North America and Europe, but I think one or two, like from South America or the Oceanic scene, will come out. It's just the practice is probably better in North America and Europe, so it's hard to keep up with that. Because that's what North America was having a hard time doing at the start of Rocket League, because Europe was so good. They all played each other a ton. North America, it was a lot of new faces, so it was hard for teams to play at a top level because they didn't get to play top teams as often. Like Cosmic, for instance, we basically dominated the North America scene for, I don't know, like at least around 6 months. Then Untethered probably started showing up a little bit more, but that was the only team that was like really giving us a hard time, except for Kings for a little bit, and then like they fell off again, so... Europe had a lot more competition, and so they got better quicker, but I think North America's catching up. I think South America will catch up as well as the Oceanic scene, and as well as Korea and Japan and all that. But time will only tell. Hopefully RLCS gets huge, and we can have like a World Championships between all these teams. Like kind of how League of Legends does it. You know, like you have your own separate regions. Doing your own thing, and then you qualify to make it to the world stage would be awesome. Let's see. I think that's it about packs and about questions. Let's move on. We'll go into... So I'm going to talk about power rankings real quick, because I know a lot of people have issues with power rankings. The first thing I'll say is that I'm going to be off power rankings for a little bit at least while I'm doing this analyst desk stuff, just because I don't have the time to put it in. Like, I'm still gonna be like looking at all the teams. I just don't have the time to track down every single result for every single team and all that. So I'm gonna let them handle that. Cloud has also left power rankings, but that's more of like a permanent thing because of Twitch. So he doesn't want to play like favorites or whatever. But here's my soapbox. So we always have a soapbox, and I guess I'm just on a giant soapbox for this whole episode. And just give me 1 second. I need a drink of water before this soapbox talk. Something is getting spammed in chat. Power Rangers spam. Okay. So, first off, I always see arguments in the power rankings for certain teams by those teams' players, which I understand you want to be ranked higher. But when you argue a point, do not just bring up your good results. Every single person does this. They only bring up their good results, and I'm like, well, you didn't mention that you lost to like 3 no-name teams last week. Yeah, you might have beat Mock at 3-2 on a fluke series, but then you lose to crap teams every other week. It's like, we're not really going to rank based on that. Second thing, it's a weekly ranking, but that doesn't mean every week everything's going to change because of how you did in 1 week. It's more of like a gradual process, and I think some teams don't know that as much. Like, certain rankers trend a little bit longer than others. Like, I probably trend maybe a little too long, which is understandable. I could probably trend a little bit less. Like, the only argument here was probably Retro and Kings. I had Kings trending down, and I have retro trending up, but I had that for like 2 weeks ago, and then they went even last week, where Kings won in the group stage and then retro won in the playoffs. Sure, playoffs is a little bit more important, but generally, so I'm just looking at match results. So I'm like, they hadn't like the same week. Sure, retro beat Cosmic, but I was playing and it was like I'm like a last minute call, and I'm not really quality sub like as of now. So that brings on to the next point. Subs are really hard to deal with for everyone. There's not an easy way to do it, because if you don't include subs, then teams will just never get results because you just don't include subs ever. If you do include subs, then it's just punishing teams for trying to play with their subs. Then some people say, well, if they use their official name, it should count, or if they use their like official sub. I'm like, sure, it could count. Like, I'm not saying that's not an option, but it's just hard because when it's like RLCS time, they're going to use their starting three. So I'm trying to rank them usually based off their starting three. Certain teams kind of rotate four, like the Retro. They rotate four pretty regularly, so I don't choose based on their subs. Like, I kind of, that's the same. But say like Kyle comes in, then I'd be like, all right, that's a sub. I'm not going to really rate this game too hard. But say for Cosmic, like if I sub, that's kind of a bigger deal because I'm not going to be playing for like RLCS finals no matter what. I'm there for like emergencies. And of course, like I know my team better than most, so I already have that information. Now with other teams, like we know when subs are kind of just like an emergency sub sometimes, not all the time. I never got cops outside. So it's tough because you can't know it, like if that sub is going to be used more often or not. And sometimes teams just don't tell us anything, so we have to kind of guess. So that's not perfect. I'm not saying that's perfect, but Now the next thing is, no one is making $1 million if you're ranked third or if you're ranked second. No one gives a fuck. I'm sorry, but no one does at all. We have teams arguing over one spot, like going crazy. It's like, guys, it's one spot. It was an opinion by 5 people. It's okay. You will live. Unless it like bumps you out of Rocket Royale, which is a whole nother point, which I'll bring up in a second. But it's like, calm it down. One spot is not going to kill you. Just play well next week, and then you'll move up to that spot. I don't understand. Sure, like you can be like, like I'm disappointed. Like I thought we had it, and we'll agree to disagree. But it's like, it's just an opinion. And sometimes we miss results. We try and put them all on the sheet, but sometimes they get by us and we don't realize. And like it happens. Like no one's perfect. Next thing, for the power rankings, like I know Vex probably hates me because I always rank them low. So what I was doing for at least when it was top 8 going to Rocket Royale, I was trying to transition teams in and out in those last few spots. Like if you didn't show anything in Rocket Royale, and if you didn't show up in any other tournament, I have no proof that you deserve to stay in that spot still, while there's other teams winning ESLs, playing in Mocket and doing well, that they're actually showing results. So I'm like, hey, let's move them up to 7. We'll bring down Vex and Lucky Bounce to like 9 and 10, and let's see if these guys can actually play with the top teams. And it's not really about like, maybe Vex is still better, but I don't know. So that's why I would move them down, like if they just don't show anything. Like if they don't go into ESL or if they don't go into Mocket and they just play Rocket Royale and just get bounced first round by not having great results, I don't know where to put them. So I'm just going to trend them down a little bit to just see if the other teams kind of have it in them to stay up. And then we got like Checkmate coming in this week for Rocket Royale and doing really well. So is Vision. They came in and did really well. So that's kind of my point there of trying to move teams around. It's not really against those teams. It's just they didn't show any results. So I'm going to move them down and move teams up that have results, not against the top teams, but they have results against their peers. So why not try them in those new spots? Because no one really knows who's actually better. So that's why I was kind of moving them up and down a little bit more. I was trying to be a little bit more flexible, so we don't have the same 8 teams every single week in Rocket Royale, because that just doesn't make any sense. Now with top 16, that doesn't matter as much, but I'm always usually more... Well, take like teams like 7 through 12. I usually rotate them around a lot more than 1 through 6. Like 1 through 6 could not play. They'll generally stay in their same spots. Like I'm just kind of rounding to 1 through 6. It depends on the team and their skill. But say a team's ranked 9th and they don't play for a whole weekend and other teams show results, I'm going to bounce them out. Say a team is in 3rd and say they don't play, they might drop a spot or 2 if the 4th and 5th teams really show up. But if they have other normal results, then they might just stay at 3 for a week. Now, if they don't play again, then I start dropping them. And that just depends on the ranker. It's not a real big deal. Now, the next thing I want to bring up is we don't see every game. So we don't see every sub. Sometimes if you like report it wrong on ESL or mock it, we just think, hey, you played with that team. We can't see every game. There's way too many games to see. So sometimes we just go clearly off, oh, okay, they won 3 games to 1. That's good to know. Sometimes I watch the games and I'm like, they got lucky they pulled out that 3-2. Maybe say like Kings are better than Retro still in my mind, then I'll rank Kings higher than Retro. Like if the games are super close. It's not always completely 100% on like they beat them, so they should be higher. Some skill is involved. That's not really the case with Kings and Retro, but because like that's a really close one for me. Kings and Retro were super close. I could have went either way. I decided on Kings higher than them, but I understand Retro's upset, but what can you do? The one thing that I think was misinterpreted was Doomsy's, oh, we were playing for fun, so we lost in that one tournament. Like, he still ranked them down for that, or ranked them where he would have. He actually had them the lowest last week, so he's not really ranking them higher or anything based on those results. Now, of course, everyone has maybe a little bit of bias, but I would rather have the pro insight than just take those players out completely from the power rankings. And I think Doomsy does it well where he doesn't have too much bias, and I think I did it well not having too much bias with Cosmic. Of course, people are going to argue. Anytime I rank them higher than anyone else, people will say it's bias, but they won't mention when I rank them lower than everyone else, but, you know, that's just the way it is. Now, of course, there's a lot of negative comments with power rankings, and those always shout a lot louder than positive comments, and I know like people read it and stuff, so I hope everyone continues to read it, and we'll still make it. But we're not perfect, guys, you know, and it's fine to throw like a disagreement out there and argue it, but just do it in a more civil manner would be nice. But, you know, what are you going to do? Let's take some questions. Let's see what we got. Look, if you guys want to do questions to me, just at Gibbs so I can see it. Looks like we don't have too many, so I'm just going to move on to the next segment. People don't like my soapbox, maybe. Who knows? Oh, well. Too bad. So, we got RLCS update on the rules. No map bans in group play. Well done, Silence. Well done. I know some people don't like Wasteland, but what Silence has to do is either say we want Wasteland in or we don't want Wasteland in. Don't do any of this bullshit where it's we'll have Wasteland in, but you guys get a map ban. It's like, then everyone's just going to ban Wasteland, and that's kind of pointless. So, have Wasteland in or don't have it in. And Silence chose to have it in. Like, I wouldn't have cared like if they said, we don't want Wasteland in for this one. Let's just go to normal maps. I would be fine with that. Like, of course, I would rather Wasteland in, but that's a fine decision. Just don't be like, we'll have it in and have it banned. Makes no sense. All right, now I'm getting questions in. So let's go on to, so I'll answer a couple before I get on to more of the updates. Let's see. Oh, actually, none of these questions are that good. No offense, guys, but they're not great. So how long did you know you were on the RLCS team? Not very long. It was like 2 weeks ago? Last week? 2 weeks ago? I think it was like 2 weeks ago where I was like, probably going to be on it, but I wasn't positive. This all came together really quickly. So, but we'll see. Like, it'll get more organized as it goes on. Do you think there will be a team out of nowhere can contend with Cosmic and will become known? Absolutely not. There might be a team that's like unknown that makes it to groups, which is possible due to the brackets and all that. But once they get in groups, I think it's going to be a hard lesson learned for teams that barely sneak in. and they will just get destroyed in groups, is what I'm figuring. I don't think anyone no-name is going to come out of this because they should be playing in everything right now, unless some teams training in a bunker or like a hyperbolic time chamber. But I don't think that's what's happening right now. So I don't think any team's really going to challenge anyone in Europe or NA. Europe has more competitive teams, so there might be a team that sneaks in and still does decently in group play, but NA, I don't think that's really possible right now. Okay. How do you feel about Phoenix Infinity versus Kindergarten finals for ESL? Was it surprising? So I haven't looked a ton at that. I think Phoenix won 4-3, if I'm not mistaken. Both of these teams have been up and coming for a while. I'm not sure who else was in the ESL bracket. It makes sense that they would make it. They probably got some upsets along the way, but that group between like 7, or I'd say 8 to like 14 right now in North America is very hazy. Like any of those teams on a good day can make it to group stage probably. So it's going to be pretty interesting going into the RLCS to see what teams are playing for those spots. But it's tough to call right now. But that's great because North America used to be like, hey, if you were like top 10-ish, then like it dropped off pretty hard right after that. So now we're getting more competitive in certain tiers, which is awesome. So I really like that. Do you feel some of these newer released Rocket League maps have tourney potential? Or should the focus be more on the standard layout maps? I personally want every single map to be in competitive. I think it would be way more fun for the viewers. It would be harder for the players, but that also shows a lot more talent. And it would be good to see, like, all right, so it's Flipside versus Cosmic. Now, we know Cosmic's really good on Hoops, and we know they're really good on Utopia. But Flipside will probably take Underpass, and will take DFH. So, can one of these teams, actually get that practice in on Hoops or Retropia or whatever, and come up with the upset and take the series lead, and then that last map selection, they pull out like a pocket pick that no one's playing. Like, no one's playing double goal. No one knew Cosmic was playing double goal, and they, pull it out of their pocket and get the Game 5 win, say, in some series. That would be a lot more fun than, like, every game's on the same map. Let's just play 5, play 7. Let's see how it happens. Like, yeah, both teams are good. We'll see some comebacks, but I want to see more diversity, for sure. Okay. All right, let's continue with my updates. So each team will select 2 maps, which I wasn't sure if this was in there for the group stage. We'll select 2 maps. First map is always DFH, and then the loser of game 1 picks the next map. So they'll pick 2 and 4. Winner will pick games 3 and 5. So before, group play was kind of worded really weirdly. I think it was DFH 2, where I read it to James, and I was like, they say matches like 10 times in a sentence. This makes absolutely no sense. So they changed that. It is a set of 5, not a best of 5 in group play. So that should be exciting, because that's what I was hoping for, because every match should count, and it makes the stand-ins more diverse instead of, like, if you went 3-2 or 3-0, it would be the same result, except for tiebreakers. I would rather just have every match count. I think it shows more talent of teams or more consistency if they can 5-0 a team. Now, there is one rule that's a little weird. Substitutions may only occur in between games of a match and are limited to 1 sub per match. Subs are not allowed during the online open, except in the event of a disconnect. So I think this is just worded poorly. I think you can still have a sub in the online open, just not in the middle of a match. But the way they say it is basically, no, you can't have a sub unless someone magically disconnects throughout the 13-hour day. So that needs to be changed a bit, because subs should be allowed between sets. I understand if they don't want subs in the middle of a set, I guess. So, like, it goes quicker. But, like, if there's a disconnect, then they should be allowed in, which makes sense. But they can't join in the middle of a game. I think they have to wait to the end of the game. So if you get a disconnect, you have to play 2v3. I'm pretty sure. Oh, also, they have no mention of the finals map picks. So that's going to be a best of 7. They haven't mentioned how that's going to work. I assume it's going to be the same way as group stage, where the first game's DFH, then loser picks the next 3, and then like the other team chooses the other 3, or they alternate. They might give map selection priority to the higher seeded team, so they would get 1, 2, 5, and 7. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. They haven't said in the description yet. But yeah, so that's all the updates for the RLCS rules. I'm pretty excited that they fixed some of the things. They still have to fix some more, but I think most people understand it. Like, I think the sub issue is not going to be an issue because they'll tell them, no, like, you can use subs. It's fine. But Deepan says, as far as he knows, subs are allowed between sets. Like, I figure they are. It's just the wording is wrong in the rules. Unless they changed it within the last 2 days, because I haven't looked since then, because that would make no sense. Okay. So let's take another question from AP Berg. Do you think we will see an in-game market in Rocket League for like toppers and decals, like in CSGO where you sell skins, etc.? I think that's possible. I'm not sure if they will do it. They do have the uncommon items right now where you can collect them. So there's only a few options for that. There's either going to be a crafting system where you can like desynthesize your items and then use the items to build new ones. There'll be trading, but since everyone's going to have all the items, unless they add a ton more when that comes in, that's not really that useful either. And then the last thing would be to sell them on the Steam market. Personally, I think that'd be a great idea by Sonics, and it seems like they're pretty cozy with Valve, where they gave away Rocket League with a Steam controller, I think, for a little while, and some other things. So maybe that's coming, but usually that's more Valve games and not anyone else, I think. I could be wrong with that, but that would be awesome if Rocket League could do that, because that's another income stream. Plus, then they could have like esports skins and start selling those, and then maybe some teams make a little bit of profit from those, and all that stuff would be awesome. Any brand name orgs you see coming in soon? Team houses. I think if RLCS gets bigger, that can start happening. Right now, it's still too small. Like $55,000 for finals isn't a lot of money. But when it starts getting into a million range or something, or 500,000, you might start seeing teams start getting houses. And it depends on the popularity of the game. Like if they have really popular players, then you could see houses where they stream a lot and scrim a lot. But as of now, I don't see it. But say season 3, season 4, where like the money starts ramping up, like maybe first season $75,000, or next one's 150, and it keeps ramping up because it's super popular, then we could see something like that. That'd be really cool. I think that'd be awesome for players to get that experience, and it'd be rough for them because like I think it's a lot rougher than you would think. But yeah, it'd be really cool. Okay. Next up, we're gonna do RLCS Open Qualifiers. Who makes it in? So the format's a little wonky. So I understand why they did it. They kind of split up between 2 time periods. One to like settle any problems, or at least keep the problems in certain brackets. So what they have is 64 brackets of, say, 64 teams. It's not exactly 64 teams, so a lot of teams get buys. But they did seed it. They seeded to, it looks like about 20. Like if you look at the salary in the fantasy, if you see anyone above $30, so all the teams at 80, they all are seeded, so they're all separated. So we'll see them in the final 128 as long as they win. Now, the groups of 64, 2 come out from each. But if you came out in the losers, then you start in the losers of the 128 team bracket. I think it's 128 teams bracket. Yeah, that would make sense. I think. Unless it was 64 in each. It might be 64 in each. But either way, that doesn't matter too much. The one problem I have is that since the brackets are split basically in half, there's a time, like everyone starts at like 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. for NA, and then they start at 10 a.m. And that's maybe West Coast time. I'm not positive of the exact times, but they're split up. So certain teams just can't play each other no matter what. So say on any given day that one half has 6 of the best teams on that day, only 4 can make it. And then you're going to get 2 other teams that were like, okay, and then they would make it. So you're always going to like question, like if you barely don't make it into the group stage, like, well, maybe I could have beat this other team that made it on the other side of the bracket. So that kind of complicates things. But at the same time, I understand because they wanted to narrow it down. It shouldn't be that big a deal. Like, Like if you're the sixth best team, you should have played better. Like you should have made top four like on your group either way because you're gonna have to make top four to make it to the LAN. So there's really no excuses. But it's okay. I wish it was just one giant bracket at the end instead of having two groups of 64. But what can you do? Don't matter. Okay, next up we have the Group A matchup. So these are projected matchups that are going to happen near the end of the bracket play. So these are going to be like spots right before the winning ends. And so we have some interesting ones. So first match in Group A, we have Vex versus No Clue. So this would be in the winner bracket quarterfinals to see who would play Cosmic. And of course, like this is if everyone wins all the way through. Now this is a close match. Like I actually like No Clue probably here because Vex is a West Coast team and they're gonna have to play on all East Coast servers since that's in the rules. It's all East Coast. So I think No Clue might be able to pull up an upset here. Like I think Vex is better team, but I think No Clue will take this just because of server advantage, maybe just by a hair. It's probably gonna be a really close set. Now this game matters a ton because whoever wins plays Cosmic, and let's say they lose there. If they lose, they would play either Kindergarten or Phoenix Infinity, most likely, to get in. So that's if they win and then lose to Cosmic. Now, if they lose to each other, they would have to play either Orbit or like Retrospect for that spot, whoever lost in that game. That's a much tougher matchup than Kindergarten versus Phoenix, which is what the ESL final was just this week. That's a lot harder of a matchup. So that's a really important game for Vex and No Clue. Like if they both make it there, very important to see who wins, even if they don't beat Cosmic. Very important. Now Cosmic, obviously, they only have to play Vex or No Clue, as pretty much all the other teams are kind of not great, because they would have the 16 seed for their game before that, and no one's really that great probably to beat them in best of three. But again, it's best of three. Anyone can win. So Cosmic still has to play on their game. But I think they go through pretty easily. No Clue could take them. I think Vex probably can't with the server advantage. No Clue would have to be on their game, and Cosmic would have to be off their game. But it's definitely possible. Next game for the win and in would be Retro versus Orbit. This is going to be a good game. Like Orbit's kind of been in a slump, and Retro's been surging a lot. So, like as of now, I would have to say Retro, but I don't think Orbit's just gonna lay down and die in this game. I think it's gonna be a really close set if they both make it here, and that should be an exciting matchup. Like that's one I really want to watch. Now, of course, the loser of that plays the loser of Vex or No Clue. I think Orbit or Retro will probably take that set. Say that Orbit is down there, they might lose to Vex or No Clue just because they haven't been playing that well. So whoever wins that game also gets in. So that's pretty important. And I might have to say Vex might be able to pull up the upset on Orbit here. So I would have, so far I would have Cosmic, I would have Retro, I would have Vex in. And then the last one would be No Clue versus Kindergarten or Phoenix, and I would have to put No Clue in there as well. Like Kindergarten and Phoenix are both playing well. I think No Clue might be slightly better, but I haven't seen them lately, so I could be off on this one. But I would put No Clue in. So then I would have No Clue, Vex, Cosmic, and Retro for the top four from Group A. Now Group B, we have a little bit of a grudge match here between Chemistry and Lucky Bounce if they both make the semifinals. Because Matt actually left Chemistry to join Lucky Bounce right before the RLCS. So kind of a grudge match here. I'm going to have to give it up to my boy on Chemistry. Let's go A-Money. I want to see them do well. So I think they're going to take this. I think it'll be close. Could go either way. And both these teams might not make it this far. Like I could easily see these teams losing a best of three a lot earlier versus the weaker teams. So this match might not even happen, but if it does, I'm going to pull for Chemistry. I want to see my boy A-Money. Like, I want to see him in group stages. So the winner of that will have to play Kings of Urban. They don't have to play anyone too hard before that. They should have a pretty easy road to the finals, and this would be a win and in. situation. I think Kings of Urban can beat either of these teams, but you never know. It's a best of 3, so there could be an upset, but I'm not calling one here. I think Kings of Urban gets in. Next one is Mocket versus Genesis. Win and in situation. Mocket's been on its hair lately. Genesis, they have their good days and they have their bad days. So I want to see which Genesis pops out. Like, I think Genesis will still make it even if they lose this. But I think Mocket might take it, but Mocket is a West Coast team. So that could be dangerous for them. They'll have to play all on East Coast, which might give Genesis just a little bit of an advantage. And that could also mean Mocket might lose to a crappier team earlier if they get, a bad East Coast server. So, who knows? But, so I'm going to go with Genesis. Just because of the East Coast server advantage, I think they'll pull it out. I think they'll be on their good day, and I think they'll get in. So far I have Kings of Urban and Genesis in. Then we have Mocket versus the loser of Lucky and Chemistry. So this is why also the Chemistry Lucky Balance match is really important. It's a similar situation to Vex and No Clue. Whoever loses gets the much tougher opponent, while the winner gets to play a much weaker opponent. So here would be Mocket versus the loser, so I would say that would be Lucky Bounce. I think Mocket will advance, even though the server advantage will not be on their side. I think they'll still make it into groups. And then the other match would be Luck or Chemistry, whoever won that, so I would say Chemistry, playing either Xylophone Zebras, Ninja Dinosaurs, Weebs on Wheels. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, Xylophone Zebras, Ninja Dinosaurs, or Weebs on Wheels could upset Luck or Chemistry and play Genesis. Or I'm sorry, or play Mocket for that last spot. I think Luck or Chemistry will take out those 3 teams, so I'm not too worried about that. So it'll probably be Mock versus Lucky, and I think Mock will make it. Now, the winner of Chemistry and Lucky will get to play either Heroes of Tomorrow, Vision, or Goomba Squad. I think this one might be a little tougher. Lately, we see Vision playing well. They just had a really good group stage in Rocket Royale. I think they might be a surprise winner here and come through into groups. But I think it'll be tough. Like, a Chemistry versus Vision would probably be almost a coin flip at this point. I'm going to say Vision. I'm going to say that A-Money will not make it into groups. And so we'll get Vision, Genesis, Mocket, and Kings of Urban coming out of Group B. So the final 8 that I'm projecting, who knows? Like, this is all going to go sour real quick. But the final 8 would be Cosmic, Retro, Vex, and No Clue, and Kings of Urban, Mocket, Genesis, and Vision would be my final 8 for North America. And I'm not doing Europe tonight, but yeah, so that's what I predict for the group stage. Should be a really exciting qualifier. I can't wait to see these matchups or even see some upsets and just see teams like have to fight through the losers bracket the entire time. Should be really fun. It's going to be really nerve-wracking for any team that gets dropped into the loser bracket because one loss and then you're on your last legs, and you don't want that. You don't want that at all because anything can happen in 5 minutes. So it should be really exciting. It's going to be a lot of pressure for these teams. I wonder if some teams collapse under the pressure or not. I haven't seen any teams really do that too much, but who knows? We might see some surprise teams. Like, we might see Cosmic just, like, fold under the pressure, which I don't see happening, but it's very possible. Or we could see, like, Retro or like, Orbit especially, because they've been playing kind of bad lately. They might drop out early. Who knows? Should be really exciting. So we'll take a couple last questions from chat before we end this conversation. Or this DFH locker room. We went almost an hour, I think. Somewhere around there, which is not bad for a solo show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And you'll be hearing a lot more from me on the analyst desk at Twitch. That's in California. Should be fun. J Hunter J says, you're going to see a lot more upsets than you think. Yeah, like, I think that's for sure. Like, I think there'll be more upsets. Like, here, you can't really project what upsets are going to happen and, like, put those matchups on paper. So I was just putting matchups where, like, if everyone wins, these are the ones that you would see. But best of 3, I could see a lot of upsets happening for sure. But I figured let's at least talk about something here and not talk about some random matchup that won't happen. So I tried to just do, if all the good teams win, here's what you would see. Like I don't project that all these teams are going to make it this far, because I could see a lot of weirdness happening. Because like in ranked, like you can lose 2 in a row very easily as a top team. Okay. Super Micro 64. Do you think NA versus EU finals could be handled better? Servers specifically. I was thinking if it goes to game 5, keep playing until the team wins, not on their home server. Might take a while, but I think it would be fair. Or do you think it's just something to deal with and suck it up? I think it's kind of just one of those, you just got to deal with and suck it up. It only happens once a week for the international finals. And if you're a top team, you can overcome server advantage. Plus, like if your team wins the Rocket Royale, or your region wins it, then you get the server priority the following week, as long as you're the higher ranked team from your region going into it. I mean, I would just suck it up. Like you have to lose twice in the international finals, so like if you lose because of host advantage on both, like you just gotta take a win like on the other host at some point. It's not perfect, but like it's better than just playing forever, because it's hard to watch that for too long, because it's confusing, and some teams might want to go, or it takes a really long time. It would be super epic, I guess, if it went like 10 games to 10 games and it kept going, but I don't know. It would take too long, I think, for streams, and also that would only be possible in like the finals, because if you did that in any round before, it would just get delayed so much that it would just not be possible. Did I get to meet Golden Boy yet? Yes, I met him at PAX, actually. Me and James went backstage for the Halo event that they were doing, the Halo tournament event. We got to check out the production and how it all ran. We talked to some of the casters there about some advice and all that stuff. So me and James were backstage at PAX for the Halo event. So it was a ton of fun. Like we didn't stay back there too long, because like we felt kind of out of place, obviously, because like Golden Boy went on to cast, so we didn't want to get in anyone's way. So we just checked it out for a bit. I talked to the casters that were available, and then we bounced. But it was really cool to see, and we can't wait to see the ball and studio that we're being promised out in California. So that should be a lot of fun. Thoughts on Checkmate? They don't really play that much, but they had like 2 to 3 series in all their Rocket Road matches last Sunday. Pretty impressive for not being a top 8 team. Yeah, Checkmate's a good team. They don't. They're not going to be in RLCS, so that kind of sucks, because Tuster's too young, I think, and maybe some of the others. I'm not positive, but they're a solid team for sure to be on the lookout for. It just sucks because they won't be in RLCS, so they'll be out of the spotlight for a little while, unless they keep showing up at Rocket Royales. But still, most people are going to be focusing on the RLCS. And that's, that's just the way it is. It's the big tournament, so everyone's going to be looking at that compared to any other tournament. All right. A lot of teams have new members that people are excited about. Trade jumps. Who do you see having a letdown with their new prized bulls? Like I think most of the new groups have kind of had enough time to create some chemistry. Like some teams aren't as close as they should be, maybe. Like Cosmic might be, like their defensive rotation was a little bit off still. Kings of Urban's been a little bit like weird too. Retro has done really well with their sub, but I think as time goes on, like they'll get better and better. I don't really see a team losing because of the subs or the trades that they made. They might just have a bad set. That might be because of the trade, but it might just be like they had a bad set. There's not much else to go on for that. On a scale of 1 to Oceania casters, how excited are you about the RLCS? Well, I can't be as excited as the Oceania casters, so I'll give it Europe casters. Is how excited I am about the RLCS. Do you think Steam will buy Rocket League if the esports gets big enough? I don't think Steam will, because I don't see that happen. I think it's Science's baby. Like unless they sell to Valve, but I doubt it. I don't see that happen. How's your role in RLCS affect your coaching role with IBP? Yeah, I probably won't be coaching them too much throughout the RLCS, just because I'll be shoutcasting. I'll just be managing where I can, but I won't be coaching them too much throughout the RLCS now because of this shoutcasting gig. But to be fair, they don't really need coaching that much. They're really freaking good. Like I'll try and help them like where I can, but I'm gonna be super busy. What are your thoughts on the teams on the bubble and what they should do compete in to become more well-known and solid players? basically just competing in all the weekend tournaments. Like if you should be in Rocket Royale, like if you're on the bubble, if that means top 10, then you'll be in Rocket Royale and try and get some upsets, or at least just get that experience in versus top teams, because you'll always have at least one top team in your bracket, so you'll get to play them, or like in your group, I should say. So you'll get to play them for 5 games every week, which is really good practice. But yeah, just playing Mockets, playing ESLs. Like ESL is kind of like the one no one really plays in a ton. And since RLCS is on Saturday, I assume they're playing in that. But then playing ESL on Sunday, even if you don't make it, like, just keep practicing for Qualifier 2. But I can see a lot of teams after Qualifier 1, if they don't make group stage, there might be a lot more changes. Another roster Armageddon happening. If a team gets upset and doesn't make it, they might be making moves really quickly to try and fix that for Qualifier 2. So make sure you guys look out for that. That should be a lot of fun to see where players go. Do you reckon Sonic's Twitch will fund the LAN for subs coaches? I don't know. This comes in from my bipod, so he's the sub for Flipside. I honestly don't know. Usually, I would say no, since not every team will have it. But if you have a good enough sponsor, they'll probably send you out in case of an emergency, I would think. Or just, to help out the team with whatever they need. So if you have a good enough sponsor, and if you make it to the RLCS, your sponsor will be very happy, and they'll probably send out that 4th guy if needed, hopefully. Not every team's going to do that, but that would be nice, because I don't see Sonic sending out 2 subs for each team, because you're allowed 5 players total, so I don't see that happening. Hey, thanks, Sneaky, for the wonderful comments. Let's get a couple more questions in, guys, and then I'm going to end the podcast. Is there any knowledge on the casters for the RLCS? Yes, that has just been announced. We mentioned it earlier. It is Jamesbot, Lawler, Findable Carpet, Wavepunk, LiFX, and myself as an analyst, with Golden Boy as the host. So that should be a lot of fun. We'll be doing both Europe and NA from California. All the other guys are out there, I think, except for me, because I have work situations, month-end stuff. So they're all out there having a good time, looking at the studio, and I'm here talking to you guys. Looks like I win. Damn right. What would you use to wipe if you had no toilet paper or paper towels in the house? You have to pick something. My wife has some books, some textbooks, or even some like readable books. They tear out a couple pages of Harry Potter. That should do the job, I would think. Yeah, I'd say that, or like Game of Thrones would work, I guess. There's a lot of pages in there in case it's a mess. You should be all right. Thoughts on how substitutes should factor into power rankings from DM World? I have no freaking clue, man. It's so hard. It's so difficult. It's not easy. It's not an easy job to be a power ranker at all. All right, guys. I'm going to end the podcast here. I want to thank everyone for joining me for the DFH locker room. I'm going to hang around in Twitch for a little bit longer for some more questions. But this is the end of the podcast. Hope you enjoyed the solo show. No Jamesbot because he flew out to Cali. I'm flying out tomorrow. It's been super hectic. But we're going to try and get a show each week still. We'll have a lot more to talk about the Twitch event, just going out to California, meeting everyone, going to the studio, how the cast went, how the teams did, like preview and group stage. Should be a good time. We should have a show next week. The week after that might be questionable because I think we're both on vacation out in California as well at the same time. So that one might be questionable. If James can't make it, I'm going to try and make shows with some other guests. I couldn't get a guest tonight, but we have Twitch chat like as our guest tonight. So that was good enough. But I hope you enjoyed the show, guys. We will see you next week for some more DFH locker room. Have a good night.